Greetings, fellow book lovers, and welcome back to Colin's Corner. It has been a really long time since I posted a video, and I truly do apologize for that. And today's video is really just going to be about catching you guys up with where I've been reading, and towards the end, I'll go over just where I've been with life, and so on and so forth. But that's enough of that. Let's start this video off just like you guys love, with the answer for the last video's Comedy with Colin segment, where I asked you guys the joke, why does the Mississippi River see so well? The answer? Because it has 4 eyes. Okay, with that out of the way, and I know you guys have missed that, let's get on with what I've been reading. First, I listened to the entire First Law trilogy in about 2.5, 3 weeks. I am going to say something I have heard nobody say about First Law, so brace yourselves, because this is going to be a very unique take. The character work is absolutely amazing. I can't believe nobody talks about Joe Abercrombie's character work. All jokes aside, it is truly remarkable how vivid his characters are. Each of them felt so individual, and sometimes when I'm listening to audiobooks, I did this all on audio. Sometimes when I'm listening to audiobooks, because I go through them so quickly, characters and events can blend together after a little bit of time separated from them. That was not the case at all with the First Law. Each character is very vivid in my mind. Their traits, how they acted, and he puts them in scenarios where it's not predictable what they're going to do, but what the characters end up doing truly feels true to their character. And I know many of you know that. I'm probably one of the only people that reads fantasy and makes videos about it on YouTube that is just now reading First Law for the first time. But I absolutely loved it. Now, I will say this, and this is not a knock at all on the series. I am not currently ready to put First Law up in the upper echelons of my personal favorite rankings, and it has nothing to do with quality. Joe Abercrombie's humor is amazing. His world building is amazing. The plot, loved it. Don't get the argument that there's no plot. Character work, obviously, incredible, almost impeccable. But it's just, I think, coming down to personal preference for me, and this is a very rigid judging scale here, my heart doesn't want to put it near the top yet, although I'm not saying that to say that I don't like it at all. That was not the case. I flew through the first 3 books in the series and absolutely intend on continuing with the standalones and onward in the series. Next, as part of a read-along with Alicia from Birdie in the Books, I reread Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. This is a book many of you guys know I read just a couple of years ago, so very recently. But when she reached out to me to do a read-through of this and have a discussion about it, I believe it's going to be me, Alicia, and one of her friends, I could not pass up on the opportunity. Now, when I read this book the first time, I did about half of it physically, and I picked up the second half kind of immersively, a little bit of audio, a little bit of physical. And I realized that I had not read a lot of books with British humor at the time that I had read this. And I was not picking up on how brilliantly Susanna Clarke was displaying that until I listened to the audiobook and heard the tone of the audiobook narrator. With that being said, since I had already read this about 2 years ago now, I did it this time strictly on audio, and this book has skyrocketed up my list of favorites. I think mainly because I was able to just focus on the story this time and immerse myself really in it. I was familiar with how the plot was playing out, obviously having just recently read it. So I was kind of just able to let my inhibitions down. I wasn't reading it critically. I wasn't trying to analyze and figure out what was happening. I kind of knew where the story was going. And so I just let myself go and listen to this. And man, did I absolutely love it. I will 100% be reading this book again. I know many people have this book on their TBR. and they kind of kick it down the road a bit because it's a big book. I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. It's a very large book, and it's a big endeavor. But I think if you're a fan of fantasy, truly a fan of fantasy, the genre, I think it absolutely behooves you to read Susanna Clarke and this book specifically, because she in general as an author is such a treasure in the fantasy genre. And it's not that she doesn't get talked about a lot, but I still think she doesn't get talked about quite enough. I've read Piranesi by her, and now Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell twice. They're both vastly different books, and they're both very, very well executed. And Susanna Clarke is clearly just an extremely talented author. So I urge you, if this is on your list and you're one of the people who have been kind of kicking it down the road a little bit, you might want to bump it up, because if you love fantasy, I think this is a must read. Next, as part of another collaboration that I am in the middle of, I read a book called The Atlantis Gene by an author named A.G. Riddle. Many of you probably have never heard of this author if you're watching my channel. Now, the reason for this is that this collaboration was sparked by a somewhat newer channel, and the channel is called Novel Insights, and the man who runs it goes by Dr. L. You may have seen him on Twitter poking around, or you may have even seen his channel. He reviews tons of different stuff on his channel. He reviews children's books. He likes to read fantasy, but his go-to genre is crime thrillers or thrillers. And so he reached out to me and wanted to kind of diversify his reading. And that was one of my goals this year too, is to diversify my reading outside of fantasy, sci-fi, and horror. And what he wanted to do was have him pick a book from his preferred genre that's been an anticipated book for him, and then have me pick a book from my preferred genre that I've been anticipating, and we'll both read them and we'll both discuss them. So The Atlantis Gene was his pick, and it was a thriller, kind of. The plot was based around, I don't want to say this without getting too spoilery. It was based on kind of a conspiracy birthed from the study of evolution and the study of how different evolutions of humans were able to successfully outlive other evolutions of humans and become the top dogs, so to say. And the book and the plot kind of studies what genes, what traits of the successful evolutions of humans were, so that they could potentially be studied in a lab and maybe built upon. So it was a really, really riveting book. It's a series, actually. I will probably end up continuing it at some point. I know that Dr. L plans to continue, the series, and I thought it was a blast. There was a lot of tension. The stakes were massive, like world-altering stakes. And I thought it was a lot of fun, and it ended really nicely. The first book ended really nicely and definitely made me want to read the second book. So if you're in the mood to get out of the fantasy sci-fi realm, I do suggest reading The Atlantis Gene by A.G. Riddle. Sorry. Lastly, I'm going to go over the books that I'm currently reading, have been reading for a while, just to get you guys fully up to date with the reading side of things in Colin's Corner. So I'm going to start with House of Chains. I am currently, as of the recording of this video, about 800 pages into House of Chains, the fourth book, and of course the Malazan Book of the Fallen by Steven Erikson. I will not say much about this because it's the fourth book in a series, and also because we will still plan on doing a spoiler chat with the group of content creators that have been doing this Malazan read-along. Although we've been doing it very slowly, we still plan on doing our discussion once all members of the party have finished the fourth book. I think a couple of people have finished it or are nearing the finish line, I myself being one of them. What I will say is, man, this book is awesome. Man, this book delivers. And Karsa Orlong may now be one of my favorite Malazan Book of the Fallen characters. I cannot wait to see how this one ends. I have like 250 pages left. no idea how any of this is going to get wrapped up in 250 pages, which sounds crazy because that's a lot of pages. There's so many things that need to happen, and I just want to see how Erikson is going to do. It's not that I doubt him at all. It's that I am just excited to see how the heck he is going to do this, because it always surprises me and it always leaves me wanting more. So I'm very close to finishing this. I hope to finish it within the next maybe 3 or 4 days, time permitting. But yes, that is one of the books it's taken me over 2 months to get through this one, which kind of stinks that I've had this broken reading experience with this book. But the reason for that is not because at all I'm not enjoying it. It's mainly because summer semester was just kind of kicking my butt workload wise, and I didn't have a lot of time to get fully immersed in this like I really wanted to. So I kind of put it off to read other things. I would read small chunks here and there, but anyways, as soon as summer semester ended, I read like 300 some pages in like 3 or 4 days. So I'm very excited to finally be getting back to this and finishing it up here soon. Next, I am also in the middle of Tigana, my very first Guy Gavriel Kay book, and this was my pick for the collaboration with Dr. L. So I have not read, obviously, any Guy Gavriel Kay books, and he's been on my list, on my radar for a while. And as of the recording of this, I'm literally about 50%, right smack dab in the middle of Tigana, and I am loving it. I clicked with his style immediately. This book, the magic, the plot, the characters, the way that this world operates just reminds me how much I love the fantasy genre. There's some nasty stuff going on here. There's some really high stakes, but it feels cozy in a way to me that just makes me know fantasy still is my preferred genre. I can't get enough of this book. The only thing I will say, and I've asked across a couple of different discords and some friends, are all of Guy Gavriel Kay's books like 57-page chapters? Because that's the only thing that's kind of driving me nuts. Luckily, there are good chapter breaks for jump off points, but man, some people told me this is not even the worst of the worst. I'm reading it on Kindle, so I'll flip through the options. It'll say like an hour and 40 minutes left in this chapter, and I'm like, oh my god, like I'm coming off this crime thriller book that's like, 7 or 8 page chapters, and it's not a detraction at all on the story. It just kind of drives me nuts because I'm somebody that likes to like end at the end of a chapter when I'm done with a reading session. But it's been pretty hard to do that with Tigana. But needless to say, I am loving it, I'm flying through it, and I cannot wait to see where the story goes. Lastly, for those of you that have been following me for a while, you may remember that I had a plan to read through very slowly, do a read-along of Crime and Punishment. Now, I announced this earlier on this year that I would tell you guys when I'm starting this in case any of you want to read Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky alongside me. Turns out, in real life, I had a buddy that just picked up Crime and Punishment at a thrift store, and he was very excited to get started with it. So him and I have started a read-along. He found a read-along guide online that he sent me. More or less, it breaks down to we're basically doing like 2, 3, 4 chapters a week, very slow pace, and we just started last week. So I've only read through 3 chapters so far. It's been great. This is my first experience with Russian literature. And I've thought that through 3 chapters, it has hooked me, hook, line, and sinker, successfully. And I wanted to let you guys know in case any of you guys wanted to do a really slow read-along of Crime and Punishment with us. We will be discussing it once a week in person, but I will also be updating my channel as I do wrap-ups and let you guys know what my thoughts are, where I'm at, how far through I am, so on and so forth. So I want to let you guys know if you have it and you want to read it and you've been waiting for time to read it, but you don't want to put everything that you're reading also off just to read this, it might be a good time to join us on a very slow read-along of Crime and Punishment. So let me know down in the comments if you're going to join with me and my friend. That's going to do it for what I've been reading recently, and I feel like I owe you guys a little bit of a life update as to why my channel has not been very active. First and foremost, and I warned you guys this would probably happen because it happens every summer semester, School was super busy. I was in a chemistry class and another class for my major, which is early childhood education, and it just took a lot of time between being a husband, being a father, working full time, and being in these shortened length semesters. I just did not have a lot of time to make content um, or energy, if I'm being completely honest. I was really burned out for just a lot of the summer, the last 5 weeks or so specifically. I've been busy with work, and another thing that I've been making sure to make a point to put a lot of my time and effort into is exercising and nutrition, because it's something that I was putting off for a really long time, a couple years, and I had let myself kind of get to a point where I didn't first personally feel healthy. And so since January, I've committed to basically doing calisthenics, which I am having a blast with so far. If any of you guys that follow me and watch my videos are somebody that partakes in calisthenics, let me know how your journey with that has been, what you enjoy doing, what skills you're working on, that type of thing in the comments. And I've been really honing in on my nutrition and cooking, and I've lost 20 pounds just about since January, and I feel amazing. I feel better mentally. I feel way healthier. And I'm really glad that I recommitted to this journey, because I think it was something I really needed to do and was putting off. And because I was putting it off, I felt bad about myself. So I kept putting it off. It's this weird thing that happens sometimes. But anyways, I've been putting a lot of time into that, which has given me less time for reading, less time for content creating, but making me a happier and healthier person overall, which is a plus. And I've also wanted to just kind of casually get back into a little bit of gaming, because with school and all of the stuff that happens with school, I felt drained in a way that left me not wanting to read things like House of Chains or Tigana or these big long fantasy books after doing schoolwork and work all day. So I needed another outlet. I've been doing some casual gaming, playing Animal Crossing New Horizons. Totally get to unplug and just like chill in that game, which I love. And I'm a complete beginner in Minecraft. So I have survived the first night of Minecraft and basically don't know what I'm doing other than that. If any of you guys out there have been playing Minecraft for years, I would love some tips and tricks in the comments, because I think it's fun. I wanted some games that were very low skill level. Things I could dip in and out of and not have to grind to get good at, and just kind of relax with. So those are the two games that I picked up, and putting a little bit of time into that in the evenings, and man, just spending time with my family when I have it. My daughter is in a play this summer, so that's been, I don't want to say sucking up a lot of our time, but taking up a lot of our time, getting her to rehearsal and watching. And it was just, as of the recording of this video, which is Friday, tonight was opening night. I unfortunately had to work. I will get to go tomorrow and see my daughter in her first ever play, which is The Wizard of Oz. I am very excited to see her. I saw some pictures from tonight, but I cannot wait to actually see the live performance, which I will be going to tomorrow. And my wife and I, for the first time since maybe getting together in general, definitely since we've been married, we went on a trip. We went to Las Vegas. Maybe I'll put some pictures up here. If not, you're just going to see me doing this weird thing with my hands. That's okay too. We went on a trip to Las Vegas for 4 nights, 3 days. It was amazing. It was just her and I, and we needed it, I think, just to get away from everything for a while and spend some quality time together. We drove from Las Vegas to Utah, to a place called Bryce Canyon National Park. If you guys have been there, you know how absolutely amazing it was. That's what my shirt is right here. Let's see if I can get to the back here. Bryce Canyon National Park. If you live in that area, or you're traveling to that area, I highly recommend going there. It was the best part of the trip to Las Vegas. So that's just some of the things that I've been cutting into my content creating time. And one thing I did not want to do when I started this channel was sacrifice reading and sacrifice time spent with family friends, and taking care of my health. I did not want content creating to get in the way of those things. So I needed to kind of recommit to those areas of my life and then figure out how I can work content creating into my life with those boxes checked. Because with those boxes checked and in a healthy way working content creation into my life, I believe I am the best, happiest, healthiest version of myself because I truly love making videos. I really truly love discussing books and literature with all of you guys. And the community that I have built here is just such an amazing part of my life that I'm proud of, that I'm very, very happy to be a part of. And I really do want to recommit, like I said, in a healthy way for me to this aspect of my life and reconnect with you all. So thanks if you watched this. Sorry it's been about 2 months, if not more, since I posted my last video, but like I've been promising in my last 4 or 5 videos, I really want to try to make this a more manageable and regular commitment. Thank you guys so much. Before we go, we of course have to do comedy with Colin. Today's joke, guys, is who won the neck decorating contest? If you think you know the answer, add it to your comment down below. Guys, tell me what you're reading. Tell me how your summer's been. Tell me what plans you have. If you've been on vacation or you're going on vacation, I want to know. I miss you guys and I can't wait to see you in the comments. Thanks. I hope you guys are all enjoying what you're currently reading. And remember, you're always welcome in Colin's Corner.